Hey guys, how's it going? Tez back again with another episode of the Barclays Premier League Roundup. We're into week 4 now. I'm back after the international break. And of course, as always with this series, it's not so much about the gameplay in the background and more about the commentary. So feel free to tab out and carry on with your daily tasks. But first thing I want to know is, how did your team get on this weekend? Now, obviously, we'll come to Chelsea a little bit later on, but my other team, Cambridge United, my local team, were able to pick up a 1-0 win at home against Gateshead and remain top of the conference. So absolutely delighted with that. But anyway, let's get into the Premier League action. And the first game we're going to look at, of course, as always, following basically the same kind of lineup as match of the day, because that's kind of how I figure out most of my notes, rather than being able to watch every single game, because of course not every match is on television. I actually find myself taking notes during match of the day, so it kind of has an extra angle to it, or an extra dimension to watching match of the day. Now it's even more in depth. But we're going to start off with Sunderland versus Arsenal. Of course, Mesut Ozil was making his debut, and he could have had 3 assists in the first half alone. Obviously, did get his first, or his only assist of the game, as Arsenal went 1-0 up early on. It was a lovely first touch when the ball was played down the left-hand side from Kieran Gibbs, and the most amazing through ball along the floor, pardon me, to Olivier Giroud, who just swept it home first time. Really, really nice, tidy left-footed finish into the bottom corner. And I think everybody was so obsessed with the touch and pass from Ozil that they kind of neglected the fact that was a fantastic finish from Olivier Giroud. He had so much to do there, running onto it on the edge of the box. And if Theo Walcott hadn't been so wasteful with 2 chances, Mesut Ozil, like we say, could have had 3 assists on his debut. Now, Koscielny, tell me, someone, if there's an Arsenal fan out there listening, please tell me why Laurent Koscielny throws himself into these challenges. He did it on the opening day against Aston Villa, got himself sent off later on as well, picked up a yellow card for that challenge from Gabriel Bonahorn, got himself sent off later on, and he just threw himself at this one again, took down the Sunderland player, I think it was Adam Johnson, and then of course, I think it was Craig Gardner, tucked away an absolutely superb penalty. He has an absolutely fantastic dead ball shot, whether it's from penalty spot or a free kick. He is superb, and Sunderland actually thought they'd gone 2-0 up when Stephen Fletcher popped the ball into the back of the net, but he was just offside. And then, of course, that volley. I'm just going to say that volley from Aaron Ramsey. Oh my days, the connection. That is an absolutely wonderful finish for his first. And then, of course, he did make it 3-1 a little bit later on with another tidy finish after a nice intricate move between Ozil, Giroud, and playing through Aaron Ramsey to then slot it through the goalkeeper's legs into the back of the net. But they didn't go 3-1 up without controversy. Of course, earlier on, they almost were pegged back to 2-2 when Jose Altidore broke through. And what the referee was doing, I have absolutely no idea. You've got to play advantage in that situation. When Jose Altidore is wrestling with Bakary Sagna and he gets beyond Sagna, you have to play the advantage. And if anything, clearly it's an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. If you've given the free kick, you've got to send Sagna off. Surely it's a clear goal-scoring opportunity because he put the ball in the back of the net, and he was the last defender. The other defender on the other side of the box wasn't going to get across in time before Jose Altidore had the shot. So it's a clear goal-scoring opportunity, and he was the last man. Surely, but Sagna should have been sent off, and if not, then he should have allowed the goal to stand, or should have played advantage, and then the goal would have stood. So highly unfortunate for Sunderland. You can fully understand Paolo Di Canio's displeasure at the decision, and of course he was sent to the stands a little bit later on. But Arsenal, comfortable winners in the end. And then of course the other bigger game of the day was Everton versus Chelsea. It was a huge game for both sides, but Martinez was still looking for his first win as Everton manager, and it was Mata and Samuel Eto'o's first performances of the season. And Juan Mata had an absolutely fantastic first half, clearly showing how good he is. He's just needed that rest, and his feet. Oh, some of the dribbling runs he was going on were just absolutely jizz-worthy. It was so good. That man, seriously, is so underrated when it comes to FIFA terms. He's easily better than David Silva. And in all fairness, if you take out Ronaldo, Messi, Falcao, and Bale, he was probably the 5th best player in all of Europe last season with the amount of assists and goals he managed to pick up in a great season for Chelsea. So, to be fair, Juan Mata was absolutely superb, and Samuel Eto'o wasn't. Don't want to have too much of a go at him because he's not played for 3 weeks and he's just spent 2 years in the Russian league. It's going to take him a while to get up to speed, especially in a league that is so fast-paced and physical as the Premier League, but he showed signs of it. His positional sense was very, very good. Doesn't quite have that burst of pace back again, but whether he will get that back again, I'm not too sure. He is 32 now, of course, but we know he has had that, so it is there if he can get it out of his legs. But Schürrle had the best opportunity, really, squaring the ball to Sami Eto'o, and Gareth Bale absolutely. I just have no idea how he got back across to get the block in on Sami Eto'o. That was a wonderful ball across from Schürrle, and Sami's just completely unlucky. Then, of course, in the second half, after David Luiz made the mistake to draw, he got drawn to the ball, didn't he, in first half stoppage time. Then the ball was played back across. Branner was left 2v1 at the back. Jelovic pops the ball back across to Stephen Naismith to score with a header just inside first half stoppage time. It was really disappointing because Chelsea had the better chances in the first half. Then into the second half, Andre Schürrle had probably the best chance of the game for Chelsea. That lovely little dinked effort that went over the goalkeeper, but just spun away into the side netting and went the wrong side of the post. And I'm still not sure whether it was a penalty for Oscar or not. He clearly got to the ball first, but whether it was inside the box or outside the box, I'm not sure. Because of course, on the line technically is in the box, and he may just have been on the line when Jagielka and Distan took him down. But referee decided not to give it. We didn't get a penalty, and in the end, we did lose 1-0 after. We were playing some decent football in the first half, and then in the second half we were specifically dominant for like the middle 25-30 minutes of the half. But Everton held out. Really good defensive display from them. But anyone would have thought, judging from the overall view of the game, that it was actually Everton with the away side. They really kind of ground out the win. But win they did, and Chelsea still sit on 7 points. We could have gone top if we'd have won, but unfortunately we are not anywhere near the top at the minute. Of course, Liverpool play tomorrow night against Swansea, and they can go top if they do win. They're the only side still with a 100% record, I think. And of course, if they win, then they will go top with 12 points from 4 games. But the next game we're going to have a look at is Tottenham versus Norwich, and it was more debuts here for new signings. Christian Eriksen making his first appearance for Tottenham against Norwich, and he showed great feet as well, same as Matt. Some lovely footwork to get himself inside the box. And he had a decent shot that was well saved, and then Soldado with a cheeky little back heel. It was really unorthodox, and he just smashed it off the post with a lovely back heel. And they were eventually able to break the breakthrough Spurs. It was a really, really nice move that involved Soldado and Christian Eriksen before the ball found its way to Gylfi Sigurdsson. That was a really tidy, nice finesse shot across the goalkeeper into the bottom corner. Apparently, according to his interview after the game, Gylfi had some sort of injury and was in a lot of pain. But the manager just told him to pop some pain pills, pop some paracetamol, and get himself on the pitch. And he did himself justice, picking up a second goal as well. It was just a tap in at the end, at the back of the box, about 3 or 4 yards out after Paulinho squared the ball across from the right hand side. It was a nice move though, and a great ball from Paulinho, proving that maybe he does have the business, or does have the ability to do the business in the Premier League this season. But Gylfi Sigurdsson nearly got himself a hat-trick. He obviously made a name for himself scoring a few long ranges for Swansea. He scored a couple for Tottenham as well, and he went close, almost getting himself a hat-trick, but just went over the bar as John Ruddy tipped it over. It was a great save, in all fairness. But Lloris, there was obviously that chance with Hugo Lloris where he came out and punched the ball outside of his box. Now, there were 2 defenders dropping back on the cover, so I don't know whether it should have been a red card or not. He only got a yellow. You could argue that he should have got a red, but then you can argue at the same time, because it was quote unquote deliberate handball. He punched it, he meant to punch it, and he was outside of his box, but there were 2 defenders that dropped behind him as he went to punch it, so it's questionable either way. But nonetheless, Tottenham were able to run out 2-0 winners, and it was a very, very well deserved win for them. Their new signings really have settled in very, very well indeed, although Eric Lamela wasn't involved today, I don't think, or yesterday rather. But the next game we're going to have a look at was, of course, Man United versus Crystal Palace. Now, they had so many penalty shouts, Man United, and you would expect, which is kind of almost detrimental to the game, we're at the point where you would expect that Man United would be given a penalty at Old Trafford. it happens. Someone goes down in the box, a Man United player goes down in the box at Old Trafford, they're going to get a penalty. Now, the referee did very, very well in the first instance where Patrice Evra went down under the challenge from Jedinak. It wasn't a penalty. There was not enough contact for him to go down. Evra should have been on the weights and been stronger in the challenge. So that wasn't a penalty. Good decision, referee. Second penalty incident, Ashley Young clearly purposefully dangled leg, moved his leg out of the way of his running path to make sure that he made contact, went over it. It was a dive. Well done, referee. Yellow card, free kick to Palace. But then eventually Ashley Young did get legitimately taken down, but it was outside the box. And I think there was a defender that was going to be able to get round on the cover. So not only was the contact outside the box, therefore not a penalty, there was a defender on the cover, therefore yellow card. But the referee made an absolute howler, gave a penalty, gave a red card, and that killed the game for Palace because they'd been decent up to that point. And it was a clear goal scoring opportunity, but there was a defender on the cover. You can argue either way, I guess, with the red card. I don't want to be too harsh on the referee, but it clearly wasn't a penalty. He was a long, long way away to be able to make the decision, and if you aren't 100% sure, you shouldn't make the decision. Obviously, it's a tough job being a referee, and you can't expect them to make the right decision all the time, but in that instance, he had a good view of it, even though he was a long way away. But if you, like I say, you just can't give a decision that crucial with a penalty and a red card if you're not 100% sure. You just can't give it. But anyway, later on in the second half, Marouane Fellaini came on to make his debut for Man United. But he doesn't look right in red, does he? When he stood there on the touchline, you watched him on Match of the Day. Marouane Fellaini does not look right in a red shirt just yet. So I was a bit weirded out by that. But they brought on Januzaj or Januzaj. I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm going to be honest. But he's the youngster, he's got a little bit of pace about him, and he won a free kick later on in the second half, about 10 minutes from time, that Wayne Rooney very, very well, or very, very expertly put into the top of the left side of the net. But if the wall had jumped, they probably would have blocked it. But nonetheless, Wayne Rooney was able to tuck that free kick away. He's decent, Rooney, and that was one hell of a headband on him, by the way, considering he's got that huge gash on his head. And if you've seen pictures of that, it's actually brutal. I can't remember who it was that caught him in the face. It may have been Chris Smalling or Phil Jones, I think, in training. But the gash on his forehead is almost as big as the gash that he got on his leg, if you remember, last year. But, yeah, Man United were able to run out 2-0 winners, rather. And I appear to have run out of footage, so unfortunately, I appear to have waffled on for too long. And for the sake of not having a 35-minute long video, I'm going to have to cut it short there, guys. I do apologise to Villa, Newcastle, Stoke, Man City, Hull, Cardiff and Fulham and West Brom fans. We've not got time to cover your games today, but fingers crossed that next week then I'll be able to fit in a lot more. I'll try and maybe be more precise with my points. But anyway, that's going to wrap this one up, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please do feel free to leave the video a like if you could be so kind. Let me know how your team got on, and I will see you next week.